AJ says, sorry, new here, but what do you mean by sats? Is it buying Bitcoin or something else? If you can explain, thank you. Yeah, so sats are basically just Satoshis. They're a fraction of a Bitcoin. So within every one Bitcoin, you have 100 million Satoshis. And as Bitcoin continues to go up in price and purchasing power, we're going to move from a Bitcoin standard essentially to a SAT standard. Because when Bitcoin gets to be, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million per coin, and it's going up in those kind of increments, bigger increments, when we move through that vertical part of the S curve, no one's going to be valuing their Bitcoin at 3.5 million versus 3.557 million Bitcoin per Bitcoin. It's going to be $3 per sat. And then once we get to another point, it's going to be 50 cents per microsat. So I like to think of it kind of like land. When the first people came over here from Europe into the New World over here to North America, they started looking at land, and you could get land for a very cheap amount of money. Let's say you were the first people over here, you got set up, maybe you got like, I don't know, 20 sections of land for $5. So we went from township, you could basically own a whole town back then. And then we went to a section, and then we went to a half section, and then a quarter section, and then an acre, and then a lot. So Bitcoin is going to do the same thing because it's a fixed supply. So that's why there's no inflation in Bitcoin. Even though people are worried that we can't inflate Bitcoin, we can move it basically to infinity. Bitcoin is highly, highly divisible. So Bitcoin right now would be similar to like owning a town back in, I don't know when that was. I'm not going to pretend to know. When people first move over here. And then as more and more people started showing up, they started buying that land. There was more demand for that land. So the price went up. We started dividing into different measurements of land: section, half section, quarter section, acre, and then lot, as more and more people showed up. So the exact same thing is going to happen with Bitcoin. I really like comparing Bitcoin to land because it's very similar in a lot of ways. It's fixed. It will only go up forever, just like land. I mean, if you look at a chunk of land here in the prairies, it's gone from like $100 an acre to like, let's say $2,000 an acre in the last 50 years. Those are just absolute approximate numbers, just an example. But the land itself actually didn't become more valuable. The crops are the exact same. People are using the same thing. In fact, they're actually more efficient nowadays with the GPS and the less actual human labor that we need. But for some reason, the value's gone up. So the exact same thing is going to happen with Bitcoin over time because it's a fixed supply. And similar to how farmers use their land in terms of going to the bank, lending against their land, they don't sell their land to buy a new truck. They take out a loan against their land. That's the exact same approach people should be taking with their Bitcoin. So I love comparing Bitcoin to land.